Hi, this is Josh with Retro TV One Tech, and today I've got something really exciting to share with you. In this box is a modern, brand new 386 laptop that runs MS-DOS and Windows 95. Super exciting. It's made of almost all new components. The only thing that's reused is the 386 processor itself. And speaking of that, just some quick specs before we unbox it. It's a 386SX 40 megahertz processor. It's 8 megabytes of RAM. It's got a VGA card. It's got compact flash storage, USB, OPL3 Yamaha sound card, so that's pretty good. Built-in mouse, lithium-ion battery, all kinds of stuff. It's even got an 8-bit and 16-bit ISA expansion bus, so all kinds of cool stuff to check out on this. But the most exciting thing, again, is that it's made of all brand new parts except the processor. So it's much more reliable than some of the vintage laptops you'll get. It's got a brand new screen that'll be nice and bright, shouldn't have any issues at all. And it's just so cool that the retro enthusiast market has grown so much that these laptops are such in demand that they're being produced. And this one I found on AliExpress. I was looking at the Book 8088, which is a laptop that a lot of people might know. It's a modern laptop that's made of mostly new parts as well, based on the 8088 processor. But that one's a little bit too slow for me to be interested in just because it wouldn't run a lot of the games due to the slower processor. But this one, at a 386, 40 megahertz, it should be able to run a lot more games, especially a lot of the DOS games. So, and it even runs Windows 95, probably a little slowly, but we'll kind of see how that works. So, let's just get started with the unboxing and see how this thing works. And if you're curious, I did buy this on AliExpress. It was about $208. So if you're curious about that, pretty reasonable. Let's look at the tag here. It's called Pocket DOS, actually, but on the website, it's Pocket 386 if you want to search for it on AliExpress.com. The battery is 4,000 milliamp hours, which is pretty good. So, and there's just a few other pieces of information there. It looks like we open it down here. It's very well packaged. It doesn't look like it's something that's just kind of made on a whim or something. It looks like it was professionally made in a factory, so that's cool. That looks like I need to cut the tape. All right, let's get this opened up. Oh wow, there it is. Yeah, Pocket 386. Pretty cool. So it actually has a user's guide, document revision 1.0. We'll definitely check that out. Wow, that is really nice. All right, so we have a couple extra boxes in here. That is the power cord. Nice that it comes with a power plug. And it's just a standard barrel jack connector, so that's fine. Let's see, it looks like the laptop would be down below, but this is probably the accessories to it. So there's some expansion cards and things that are included. So this one is actually a multi-function output. There, I turned my ring light off so you can see a little better. So this is VGA expansion as well as PS2 mouse and keyboard. So you can connect an external mouse if you want, as well as an external keyboard and of course VGA. So that's pretty awesome. And that's something that's been lacking in the earlier Book 88 models. So expandability, very, very nice. And if you want to hook it to an external monitor, no worries, you can do that. Let's see, there's one more thing in here. And that is, I believe, parallel port expansion. Let's check that out. Yes, that is the parallel port expansion card there. Get it out of the bag to make it a little bit easier to say. You can see the parallel port there, and there's the ribbon cable that goes with it that attaches to the back of the laptop. I don't know what some good uses for a parallel port would be, but I guess you could hook up like a parallel port sound card or something like that if you really wanted to. Go ahead and get this out as well so you can get a better look at that. Here's a little better look. There's a VGA. And then you've got your mouse and keyboard and the little ribbon cable. So pretty nice expansion actually. And it's got a nice plastic bottom on it so you can set it down on something, even something metal, and not worry about the circuit board coming in contact with anything and shorting anything. You just set it right down on any surface, even metal, because it's got that plastic insulation on the bottom of it. So that's super nice. And I'm assuming down here is the laptop itself. Nice little foam down in there. Insulate and protect. It's very, very well boxed. Very well boxed indeed. It's really compact. You can kind of see, just even compared to the size of my hands, that it's a very, very small unit. So it definitely does fit in a large pocket. It wouldn't fit in a smaller pocket, but it definitely does fit in a large pocket. So Pocket 386 definitely lived up to its name. And let's just slide it right out of here. Hopefully without dropping it. There it is. Oh, look at that. Wow, and it's even got its little name badge on there. You can see it right through there. Pocket 386. That is cool. I am all about these. If they make a Pentium version or a 486, I would probably buy that as well. I just think it's cool that, they're catering to the retro enthusiast market. And this is for somebody too that's, looking to get into retro computing and maybe doesn't have the space for a giant desktop computer system. Like I've got my Tandy that takes up a lot of room. Maybe not everybody has room for that. Maybe they've got an apartment with limited space, but you still want to get back into retro computing. Well, here is your chance. This takes up very little space. It's modern, it's reliable. You don't have to overpay for it on eBay and not know if it's going to work or not. Really, really great option. So turn my light back on so you can see it a little bit better. It's going to reflect a little bit, but shouldn't be too bad. So this is the Pocket 386. And let's just do a little tour of each side. Here you can see you've got the power switch right here. And then that, I believe, is the headphone output or line out. And then in the back, you've got several different expansion ports here. First of all, you've got your power input. So this first port right here is ISA GPIO, it says on the website. I'm not exactly sure what that does. We may check the manual here in a little bit, but if you know, leave me a comment. This is the PS2 and VGA connector. This is ISA 16-bit. And I don't think they make an expansion for this yet. You can make your own if you want. It's a pin out there, so if you have 16-bit ISA slots and you know how to wire all that up and make your own little circuit board, you could do that. But right now, they don't have a ready-made one to buy. But this one is the ISA 8-bit bus, and they actually do have an expansion for that. And I did order that. It's not in yet, but I'll show it later in the video. So you can hook this up to an 8-bit ISA expansion slot, and you can put regular 8-bit ISA cards into it. Let's look on this side, and you've got, here's the compact flash slot there. So that's a compact flash card right in there. This standard USB-A, and this is the parallel port connector. So let me look on the bottom here real quick, and you can see it says Pocket DOS. It's interesting, that kind of has two different names. You can see the battery in there and some of the circuit board, which is kind of cool. Very easily accessible there. Yeah, so you can really open that up and just take a look at everything. So that's pretty cool. Let me open this one up here on this side. I love that everything opens up so easily. That's pretty cool. All right, I got it off, and you can see there's the Yamaha OPL3 chip right there. That's neat to see. There's some kind of an expansion header there. So it looks like that's just the Yamaha sound card itself. And here, yeah, here's the output for it. And this may be something you can exchange. I'm not sure. It looks like, too, you could plug something else onto it at some point. I wonder if there's like going to be a Sound Blaster add-on or something for it at some point. All right, a couple of huge updates as I edit this video. I'm just noticing here as I look at this a little bit more closely, there are volume controls on the right-hand side here. It looks like one of them is for the internal speaker and one of them is for the line-out jack. So that's pretty cool. I actually have to try that. I'm sorry I didn't get to try that on the video, but you can clearly see those screws there and plus and minus in volume. I did not see that silk screened onto the PCB there, but that is definitely what those are for, so that's really cool. So volume control, definitely have to check that out. Also, that little expansion connector apparently is for an add-on serial port card that you can get if you want from the developer's website that I'll show later in the manual. I'm not going to open up the battery right now because I think you can see it through there well enough. I tried to open this one. It did not want to open, and I wasn't in the mood to force it right before I turned it on for the first time. I believe that's the 386 right there. You can kind of see through the translucent case there. And so yeah, let's get this turned on. Before we do, of course, we'll open it up. Oh, wow. Yeah, really, really nice looking there. Let me turn my light off so it's not reflecting so badly. All right, so take a look at this thing. So it looks like modern keyboard keys. I'm sure the Windows key probably doesn't do anything, but maybe, I don't know. And you can see here, standard cursor keys. And from what I'm told, these also function as the controls for the mouse pointer, and then this is the left and right mouse button with the question mark key and the shift key. So that's pretty cool. There's power and hard drive indicators right there on the top. And you can see some stickers there. Microsoft Windows 95, 386 SX Core, that's kind of cool. And the OPL3. It's kind of neat to see. And of course it is a widescreen display. But the cool thing about this is it actually has an option to either view it in widescreen 16:9 or view it in the more standard 4:3, which is what these machines were designed to do with the 386s and on Windows and DOS. All right, I went ahead and plugged it in for the first boot, as you can see over here. So I've got it plugged in the back just because I wanted to make sure I gave it the best chance possible just in case the battery's a little bit discharged. But let's give it a shot. Hopefully I have the exposure in a good place where you can see the screen and see what happens. Here we go. There it goes. See some BIOS settings there. AMI BIOS. That looks very familiar. It just boots right up. There it goes, right into DOS. All right, so we see already, welcome to MS-DOS 7.1, which is, I believe, part of one of the versions of Windows 95. There's a driver for the USB disk, so you can put a USB thumb drive in there, and I believe it will respond as one of the DOS logical drives. Now you are in MS-DOS 7.10 prompt, type help for help. It shows all the different I/O addresses and things like that. So first of all, let's just do a directory. The keyboard works nicely. It's small, but the keys are nice and clicky. So there you can see some of the things that are on the actual hard drive or the compact flash card. All right, I wonder what happens if you type help. For full screen MS-DOS help system, type DOS help. Wow, that's fun. I didn't actually know that DOS had all that. I don't think they've added that for this machine. That's pretty cool. I haven't even looked at the user's manual yet, but let's go ahead before we even do that and let's just load up Windows 95 because I'm sure that we can get that to work. I think we just type Win. Let's see if that actually works, or I might have to go into Windows to get that to work. Hopefully it's already installed. Yeah, it worked. Look at that. There it goes, loading Windows 95. It's just super, super cool to see on an old school laptop like this. Wow. It's supposed to have built-in speakers, but who knows if it'll have any sound in Windows. There it is. There's the desktop. Wow. There's something wrong with the screen over there. I wonder what that is. I may have to... Oh, I think maybe I didn't take the screen cover off. Okay. I was like, I may have to like... Oh, that'll be funny. I think that if this is a screen cover, which it looks like it might be, I was going to say I may have to email support and see if I can get one without the oh, nope, I think that is a screen protector. See if I can get that off of there. Not sure. Let me check that out real quick. Oh my goodness, the most frustrating thing ever. They had this little screen protector tucked in underneath of the screen itself. I hope I haven't damaged the screen at all by getting this off of here, but I had to work at this part right here, and then this finally came out, and you can see this little blue tag right here, and I should just be able to pull the rest of the screen protector off, but I worked at that for probably 5 minutes. And then, there we go, and now I shouldn't have any issues with the screen. Wow. I feel like they should have left that tab out. That might have been a manufacturing issue. That tab should have been out where you could grab it. So hopefully our screen is nice and clean now. Let's go ahead and boot it back up. I turned it off to make sure I wouldn't damage the screen while I was really messing around with it and having it on. I felt like that probably wasn't a good plan. So let's turn it back on and see what happens. Of course, it's nice and quiet. There's no moving parts, no fans, no nothing. So that's cool. There it goes. I also put it in widescreen mode just to see how that would work. And so you can see what widescreen looks like. You know, it doesn't look like the regular DOS format, obviously. Let me show you the on-screen menus, FN, F4. There it is. So this is how you switch it around. You can even look at brightness. Wow, the brightness is actually way down. If I go up and down, oh, there it goes. Okay. Ah, so you have to hit up and down. So that's kind of cool. Well, that's probably fine for right now. All right, let me get off of that. There you can adjust the horizontal position, vertical position, all those kind of things. I'm going to leave that alone for right now. On-screen display. That's pretty cool. And then there is your function display and everything like that. So let me go ahead and put it back to 4:3 because that's more realistic to what we would have on Windows 95 and DOS. And there we go. Now the aspect ratio should be correct. So this is like an off-the-shelf LCD screen that works really well with this computer. And they've got some kind of a display controller in here. Then if I hit FN F5, there's another little menu that comes up. These menus aren't the most, yeah, see, they're not the most responsive things in the world. I couldn't get the mouse to work a minute ago either. Not really sure. Okay. Oh, and now we're back up with the menu. Okay, it may just be that the processor is slow and it takes a second to process that. Okay, now it's processing the input. So there's some glitchiness to it, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and load up Windows again and see if we can get the mouse to work. And there, now we don't have anything on the screen. I guess the reason they had that little arrow the on the little screen protector, you can kind of, well, you can't see it on the camera, but there's a little arrow right there. And I guess it was there to alert you that there's something on the screen. So that's kind of nice because I thought, oh, there's something wrong with the screen. All right, well, let me let Windows 95 load and maybe I can get the mouse to work. Now I do have a PS5, not PS5, that's the wrong generation. I do have a PS2 mouse that I can hook up to this and do that if I can't get the internal mouse to work correctly. But I'm hoping I can get it to work correctly this way. So I'm supposed to be able to just use the cursor keys to move around and make it work that way, but it doesn't seem to be working right now. Now I did notice earlier when I was playing around with it, if I hit the Windows key, it does actually open Windows, so that works. Just not sure how I get the mouse to work. Maybe I have to hold the FN key or something and it just didn't tell me that. I'll have to mess around with that a little bit. But either way, that actually does work. And you can see some programs and things like that. Before I do, let's see if I can get the mouse to work. Maybe hold FN and move the mouse around. No? Maybe shift? That's weird. Maybe this little button down here does the mouse. Ah, there we... Oh, hello. Something just happened. It just took the mouse way off the screen over there. Ah, there we go. Okay, I'm not sure. I just woke it up somehow. So maybe this button activates it, and I had just been pushing the button so much that it kind of messed it up. I don't know. I wonder if I push like two directions at the same time. Nope, it doesn't do that. Okay. So you do have to move it in like kind of a grid pattern. Now the good news is you can hook up a regular PS2 mouse, and that works really, really well, and there's no issue with that at all. So that's probably what I would recommend. Is it'll probably be easier than using this, but let's just try it. So I should be able to hit the question mark for left mouse. Yep. All right. So then I hope you can see the screen. I know it's kind of hard to see both my fingers and the screen at the same time. Let's just see if we can load up like media player. Oh wait, it has some MIDI files on here. Let's see, under documents. Oh, that's kind of cool. Let's just see what Beyond sounds like. Let's try it. Let's try that. See if we can load up some sound and see if we can hear anything. It's actually not that slow in Windows 95 for a 40 megahertz computer. Windows 95 is really made to run on a Pentium. There it goes. Yeah, that didn't sound too bad. OPL3 sound. Let me see if we can get a better look at the screen here. All right, I was playing around with the brightness and contrast just a little bit on the screen. And now I'll get the camera adjusted just a little bit better there. That looks better. All right, so it's just really, really dark on both the camera and the computer itself. So that actually looks a lot better. I could probably turn it up more, but I think that's fine for now. The computer seems to be evened out a little bit as far as everything working. The mouse works nicely. Maybe you just have to wait a minute for it to load. I'm not sure. Maybe I just didn't give it enough time to figure itself out. Using the mouse actually is pretty intuitive with these cursor keys. It's not too bad. I don't know how to turn the speakers up and down, but maybe that's the FN F5. Let's try that menu. See if that one will work. Okay, there it goes. Now you can see it a little bit better. All right, so you can turn the amplifier on, which that's FN and 3. It shows the battery's charging. I hope you can see that. It's kind of hard to see. It's very, very small. Ad-lib is on, parallel's on, VGA out is off. The mouse is internal, and the keyboard / mouse is on mouse. Okay, interesting. So I wonder, that's the M key. Oh, you hit M maybe to do that? I'm not really sure. So I wonder if my keyboard doesn't really work right now and it's just mouse. I got to figure that out. M key. What if I hit this again? Ah, it is that little button down there. Let me zoom back out and I'll show you. So I zoom back out. It's actually not the M key. It's this little thing by the space bar that controls turning on the keyboard and mouse. So I just flip this and it changes over to mouse. I flip this and it changes back to keyboard. It's not too bad. I mean, I guess they really kind of have to do that because otherwise you can't use your cursor keys as cursor keys. So that does make sense. What I'm wondering about is this amplifier on. I'm wondering if there's a volume control. If I hit FN3, that turns the amplifier off. Nope, it's just off and on. So the volume may be controlled through Windows or something like that. But either way, if I want to do my mouse, I just hit mouse, and then I can use the mouse. Okay, so now that all makes sense. Well, good. Well, if you get one of these now, you'll know. Figure it out together with me. Now I'll give you a better look at the screen here. And so I'm going to use my mouse. That works pretty well, actually. Let's see what else we can find in here. I don't know if there's much else installed. I wonder what's in the recycle bin. I certainly didn't delete anything. Oh, they deleted like AOL and internet and everything else. Yeah, because obviously you don't need those things because we're not using networking, and a lot of those services like AOL are long gone, so they wouldn't work anyway. What is this? Oh, this is the MIDI demos, so that's kind of cool. I kind of want to hear canyon.mid. Let me see actually if I can load up and go back and load up. It'll be faster to load up the document this way. Let me just load this up real quick. It should load up Media Player again. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Sounds familiar, but I'm not exactly sure. Faded. Maybe I'm just not remembering. Let's see. All right, I bet under the Windows directory, maybe there's some MIDI file. Let's see if canyon.mid's on there. If not, we'll load it on there. No, there's no canyon.mid. That is crazy, right? And let me see if it's over here somewhere. Nope, no canyon.mid. That's okay. We can load it up later and just see how it sounds. In the meantime, I kind of want to see what else is on the hard drive. There is a games folder, but I bet I can load on my own games as well. So let's just go out to DOS. It might be easier to see what we're doing here. Before we do that, let's see if there's any other programs in here. Accessories, like your normal Windows stuff, under games, FreeCell, Heart, Solitaire, Minesweeper. So pretty standard. Get home internet or get on the internet. Yeah. There's active mouse or active movie control. So it's so small it's hard to read. Disk defragmenter, I don't think we'll have to do that. So yeah, all the standard stuff is on here. Online services. Oh, they're still there, but they took off the home screen icons and things. All right, well, let's shut down to MS-DOS here. We are going to restart in MS-DOS mode. There we go. That's pretty fast. Let's see how much memory we have. That's really important, obviously, for loading DOS games. And yes, they have it very, very well organized. 611 kilobytes of free storage. And you've got about 6.7 megabytes of extended memory free. So that should be enough to run a lot of DOS games. I don't know if RAM expansion is possible. Would have been nice if I had 16 megs. That would make it, sorry, hard to type on this. That would make it probably a little bit easier. Oh, I need to actually switch it back to keyboard mode. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'll get the hang of it. But yeah, 16 megs would have made it easier to run more DOS games. So there is a directory in here called game. So let's check this out. Raptor, Tyrion, Wolf 3D, Doom. Well, we got to run Doom first, I think. I was going to run Commander Keen, but we don't have that on there. We got to get used to this keyboard. But let's go ahead and run Doom and see what we got there. All right, so it should be set up correctly. Let's go ahead and just run setup, just make sure all the sound is correct. Yeah, this keyboard is difficult to type on when you're used to full size. All right, so I don't know if there's a sound effects card. Yeah, I think it looks like it's already set up correctly. Keyboard plus mouse, ad lib. Whoops, sorry. The computer is very, very easy to move. That's the one drawback here, is that it doesn't have an actual Sound Blaster type sound card in here. It's just the OPL3. So, all right. So I think we're good with the ad lib being the music card. So let's go ahead and hit save settings. And well, let's just try the Sound Blaster and just see what happens. I don't know if there is one or not. We'll put the Sound Blaster on there and see if it works. It might not even work. It might say no Sound Blaster detected. There we go. I got the exposure set up a little better there. Oh, Doom's a little laggy. All right, let's see if we can get the game started here. Yeah, I don't know. With the 386, you're not going to have the best performance on Doom, but, you know, it's fine. Wait, I don't want super hard skill level. Let's try that again. Ultra Violence Nightmare. No, let's not do that. So the sound's not super loud, but it does work. It's not wanting to go forward. Maybe I need the mouse to do that. I might want to just change the control mode to just keyboard. Let me see what happens if I do this. If I turn the mouse on. Yeah, that's not going to work right now. Heck, I can only go left and right. Okay. Oh, I see. Oh, there we go. I see it. They got WASD mapped for the controls. Okay. That works. Yeah, that's really, really laggy. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's sort of playable, but it's like 10 frames a second. So, you know, like I said, I've got Pentium computers to play this. Even a 486 would do a pretty good job. Oh yeah, see, okay, so there's no Sound Blaster. Yep, okay. Luckily it didn't error the game out, but there's definitely no Sound Blaster sound. Let's try Wolf 3D. That should be a better experience, I think. Alright, so just the Sound Blaster detected, and hopefully no mouse. I would really, really, really love to turn up that speaker a little bit. I'll have to look in the manual and see if there's a way to do that. I didn't see anything with a quick glance. And I will show you in the manual, don't worry, but I know a lot of people want to see the games first. I always pick the easiest skill level. But yeah, this one should have plenty of CPU power to run this. Everything seems to be mapped to WASD. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to, it might have been because of the mouse issues and mapping and everything, but that's definitely going to bother me. How do you open the doors? Usually it's spacebar. Not sure what they mapped all the... Oh, there we go. It's Q. Let me know in the comments, is that a standard mapping? I usually use the cursor keys to play this. I haven't even know what... Was it Q? Oh, E. It's mapped to E, so let's... Okay. Yeah, so this one plays with a decent frame rate. I actually have this installed on my Tandy 1000 with an 8 megahertz processor, so 40 megahertz should run fine. Which one shoots? That would be kind of important, wouldn't it? Oh, there we go. It's U, I guess. Okay. Yeah, that would take some getting used to, those controls, but it works. I wonder if you can map a USB joystick or if the USB port is just wired up to work as a disk drive. Oh, I think somebody's going to come and shoot at me here. Got him. Okay, well that works pretty well actually, and the screen is nice and bright. Looks amazing. I'm actually glad it's in the correct aspect ratio. It is 640 by 480, by the way. So that actually is the perfect aspect ratio for DOS games. There's no scaling or anything like that. And this is a modern LCD, so it can do scaling as well. That's pretty awesome. All right, the next thing I want to try is plugging in a USB flash device here to the computer. And in the manual it says I should just be able to plug this in, and I may have to restart the computer. We'll see. I think I do. So I think it won't do anything if I just plug it in, but let me go ahead and get it connected here, and then we'll see if we can access the contents of this particular device. So yeah, that didn't do anything, but that's fine. Let me try. Let me see if Control-Alt-Delete actually does anything. Oh yeah, it sure does. Okay. Reboot the machine just like you'd expect a DOS computer. So let's see, now it should access this USB device. There it goes. Okay, and so it actually says it's added disk D here, so that's nice. It really does kind of flash around on the screen as it's getting booted up, but That's okay. It's probably part of the fact of using this modern LCD display. I do think I have the display a little bit too bright because the black is definitely not black, so I need to work on that a little bit. But right now, let's just see if I can access oops, I hit D twice. The shift key is so tiny over here. Shift colon. Okay, good. And it looks like, am I able to read off this card? Wow, look at that. So this is my regular DOS utilities and games USB stick. So I want to run a Commander Keen here. Let's see. Yes, looks like it's working. Ah, it's better. Here we go. Yeah, that looks nice. We should hear that sweet OPL 2 soundtrack. This is actually an OPL 2 game, a standard original ad-lib, even though there's an OPL 3 in this thing. Let me make sure the sound is configured correctly. Let's see, sound should be ad-lib Sound Blaster. For movement and buttons, it should all be normal. All right, so let's load a game and let's see if we get sound here. Sure do. Looks and sounds fantastic, and there's no scaling, so the graphics look incredible. Oh wow, that's smooth as silk. Nice. It's actually smoother on here than it is even on the phone. And the colors actually look better on the screen than they do on the camera. I'm doing the best I can to adjust, but it's kind of hard to adjust with such a small screen on the camera. Yeah, again, the speakers are quiet, but sound great. If I connected external speakers to it, I'm sure it'd sound even better. We may do that later in the video. Even though the keys are small, they're responsive. I feel like I can jump everything, and I don't feel like, you know, it's going to fail on me and I'm going to fall into the pit there. Everything looks great there. That works. And so I'm assuming because that flash drive is actually mapped to drive D, it should work in Windows as well. So I should be able to play some King.mid also. Yeah, that works really, really well. Before we go back into Windows, let's try Test Drive 3. And that should be about the right speed for this system. So let's just try that and see how that works. Test Drive 3 is always fast on everything, but should be just about right on a 386. Yeah, that looks just about right. The car is spinning at a good speed. You know when you load this up and the car is spinning at this ridiculously fast speed, you know it's not going to work, but this looks pretty good and it sounds amazing. So this is really the era of DOS games that works best with this type of machine. Here we go. Oh yeah. That is just about right. Good, so you feel like you can actually control it. I'm not gonna... I always run over this hill up here, and I crash into the police car, which, you know, it's always a bad plan. Let's see, because he kind of, like, pulls in front of everybody there. But now that I can actually control it, that's great. So even, like, the 75 megahertz computers that I have, the IBM 701C Butterfly and Toshiba and a couple others that I have that are 75 megahertz, this game is way too fast on, but this is actually a much, much better experience playing this game. I feel like I can actually control it. It's still a little fast, yeah, like that, but not bad. Even better, would be even better with the joystick. But reading the manual, it looks like the USB port is only for file transfer. I'm gonna get a ticket. Yep. Okay, officer. Yes, I was going fast. And now I'm going to crash. Did I learn my lesson? Absolutely not. Too much fun. All right, I'm loading back up into Windows 95, and we're going to see if it recognizes the flash drive. Since it's a logical DOS drive, it should recognize that. And by the way, I did check the manual, and to give the benefit of the doubt, I actually missed it when I skimmed over it, and give the benefit of the doubt to the creator of this. I actually found that it does say that you need to push that little button next to the space bar to make the mouse operate. So they did include it in there, and I really, really appreciate that. So I just should have read a little bit more closely. Oh, look, it is in there. So there's removable disk A. I'm not really sure what that would be, but removable disk D is the USB. C is the compact flash. This is removable disk D. So I do have Canyon.mid on here we can load up. I just want to see how it sounds on these speakers because I've heard it on so many different systems. I have a pretty good ear for how it's supposed to sound. So let's load up Canyon. This isn't the fastest experience, but it's not bad. And there are actually two little speakers on either side of the display. They're actually just above the keyboard on the bottom part of the laptop, not on the screen part. So I'm not sure if it's stereo or not. I'm assuming it probably is since it's OPL3, so I need to find like an OPL3 MIDI file to check the stereo and see if it actually does render both channels. But either way, both of those little speakers are working and they sound really great. And those graphical glitches you see on the screen, that's not present in real life. That's just the camera trying to pick up the screen. I could do direct capture, but I feel like you need to see how the actual monitor looks as close as possible. Anyway, that's pretty cool. That works really well. Sounds great. I loaded up the control panel here just to see what it says. It says next gen driven. That's the name of the computer, 8 megs of RAM. This is Windows 95C. If you went Windows 98, it would be much, much slower. Doesn't say what type of CPU, of course. The hard disk controller it doesn't really like, but there must be some issue there. Not sure. That says this device is not present or not working properly. Interesting. I mean, obviously, it is working, so that must just be an extra feature or something. AdLib Gold compatible. Ah, it's got it in here as an AdLib Gold. That's kind of cool because it's OPL3. Very cool. So I need to find like some more advanced MIDI files and just see how it plays those. And then there's all the system stuff. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. The only thing we can't do is use a joystick unless I could connect up an ISA expansion card that has a joystick port on it, like a sound card or something. But then it's fun to play around with that, and it's good that this could be like a test bed for new ISA cards and stuff like that. But at the same time, it kind of defeats the purpose of laptop when you have to hook an entire expansion card and stuff up to it. So it would be cool if that USB port could be like switched over for USB joysticks and stuff. I don't know. I'll have to mess around with it and see if there's a way to switch it over, change drivers, maybe even the way that the auto exec bat and things are configured. That might be one way to get that to change. Either way, it's pretty zippy overall. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. I adjusted the brightness on the screen a little bit so that it doesn't look quite so bright in DOS, but I wanted to look at the system configuration up here on the top. You see the main processor is listed as an Ali M6117. I believe that's something that was used like in industrial boards and things like that for small computers for those types of applications. So it's not like a straight up Intel 386, it's kind of an embedded chip. But I think they were able to find a lot of those, and so that's why they were able to make so many of these computers that you can buy. And there you can see the BIOS date is 95. You see the memory sizes and all that kind of stuff. No serial ports. You can add those in if you want later, and then it has the hard drive configuration with all the cylinders, head sectors, and all that kind of stuff that is important for computers of this era. So pretty cool, actually, just how well it works and how well all the old parts are integrated with all the new parts. So I'm going to play around with this a little bit, and I will be back to show you some things about the manual. So let's take a look at the user's guide here. It's actually a pretty good little guide, especially considering this is like version 1.0. So this talks about how to switch between 4x3 or 16x9 by using the on-screen menu. which is accessed by Fn and F4. That's how that works, first of all. And it actually says that right there. And then here, the on-screen display just kind of shows you how to enable functions and what the battery life is. That's actually the only way to see the battery life is by using that on-screen display, which makes sense. Windows can't detect it in such a new battery. And then it shows the integrated mouse control. So that's where I looked first, but it doesn't tell you how to turn the mouse on in this particular spot. It's actually elsewhere in the manual. Shows you about all the expansion, things like that, connectivity, and open source circuit diagram at that website. So that's kind of cool, 8086cpu.com. All right, let's see what else we got here. This shows you the specifications of the computer, so that's really helpful. Might be easier to see if I turn on my light here. So here it shows some of the product specifications. You can see all the things that I was talking about in the beginning of the video. Seamless online switching between 4x3 and 16:9. So that's 640 by 480 or 800 by 480. So it is going to stretch the image. So it will look distorted, but if you prefer for it to fill the screen, you can do that. And of course, you can also use external monitor there. And there's USB, compact flash card, OPL3. You can see the on-screen controls, lithium battery, built-in ISA adapter, all those things. Lots of cool stuff. And here it shows a map of the back of the computer, the sides, and all the expansion ports. So you can take a look at that and see what I was talking about. This is the GPIO thing that I was talking about earlier. I'm not really sure what that is. Of course, I know what 16-bit ISA and 8-bit ISA are. And then over here, it kind of details some of the other issues here and how this works. So the power switch is actually a physical button that has both a depressed and a not depressed feature. It's not just a software button. So yeah, you just have to do a direct power off with this one. There's no like shutdown in Windows mode. Peripheral management, you can turn on and off the sound card amplifier, but there's no volume control. Enable, disable the OPL3 or the built-in parallel. And if you want to use your own sound card through the ISA expansion, it tells you really should disable the onboard to avoid any kind of conflicts, and that makes perfect sense. And there are the on-screen display menus and the functions there. And this right here is where it tells you need to push this key to turn the mouse on and off. So that's really helpful. And there's some information about the other on-screen menu, no signal, all those things. So, and you can use software buttons to switch between FN and 1. You can switch between internal and external monitors, so that's kind of nice. And then over here is a little more information about USB. Just tells you when you connect it, it assigns it a drive letter. And then here is some information about BIOS settings. So you can do select mouse support to enable the mouse. And it says press escape, choose save settings and exit. So I guess that's to enable the mouse in DOS. Maybe it's not already enabled for some reason. And then here is compact flash adapter. It uses the compact flash reader. Oh, you can download the image file and re-ghost it. That's kind of cool. So if you accidentally mess it up, you can re-image it. That's really cool. Wow. Kudos to the developer for that. That if you mess up your system, you can redo it. It's not just bricked. So that's pretty cool. And there it shows how the ghost utility works. Wow. Very, very good instructions on this. I'm actually really, really impressed. You can do QBasic. That's pretty cool. You can program in BASIC if you want to, using DOS's version of BASIC. There's some missing BIOS settings. If the keyboard becomes unresponsive, it may be due to the OSD menu being active. Press the escape key. Okay. So, I had that earlier, and I just did a Control-Alt-Delete, or I turned the computer on and back, or off and back on. Okay, so just press the escape key. If the directional keys do not work, just press the M key to toggle back and forth. Okay, cool. So I should have read that earlier. All right, it's been a few days, and I wanted to show the video and audio output of this computer. So it's got a VGA output, and of course the regular standard 1/8" audio jack output. So I'm going to capture some video and audio from the Pocket 386 here to my Cloner Alliance Box Pro that I showed in my last video. So let me just show you the cable hookup here with this mess of wires. First of all, the VGA cable connects to the computer through this little expansion board that also has PS2 mouse and PS2 keyboard expansion, and it just goes in this port right here. It's actually not the one right next to the power cable, it's the next one down. So it shows that very clearly in the manual, so that's really nice. This board doesn't seem to want to sit with the bottom side down here very easily because the VGA cable, unfortunately, is kind of curled up in an awkward way. But then here I've got the VGA cable hooked up over here to the capture device through the multimedia in and out jack here. So I'm going to have to try and figure out a way to monitor this, maybe through my regular TV behind me or something like that. But I'm going to capture to this USB hard drive, and that way we should get a really high quality capture with no lag or anything like that. So let's see what we get. Go ahead and turn this on here, and it should just show the video output on the computer. For now, I'll have to switch the screen over to the other input. It doesn't automatically switch, but it's easy enough to switch using the FN and I believe the F5 key. We'll let it boot first, though. I've got the capture device running anyway, but I think it should be in good shape. This screen really is great. I've been playing around with it the last couple days, by the way, and just kind of adjusted the color temperature and things like that, just the way I like it, and the brightness and everything. And it's just a really, really nice screen. It's actually way better than a lot of the retro laptops that I use. So that's good. All right, so it says VGA out off. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on FM +1. I wonder if it'll keep the regular screen on as well when I do that. So let me do FN and 1. Okay, so now I should be getting VGA output, but maybe that also turns off the regular screen. So, all right, I'll have to find a way to monitor this, but hopefully we're getting a signal now on the capture device. So I've got it hooked up to my regular computer monitor across the room here with a longer HDMI cable, and that's going to be awkward monitoring it, but it looks fantastic. The output is really, really clean on this. Wow, what a great VGA output. So I'm going to switch over to direct capture now, and I will show you how this thing outputs video as well as audio. There's no volume control on this, so it'll be interesting to see what level the audio comes out at. All right, I've got this switched over to the capture now, and we should be able to load up Commander Keen now and check that out and see how that runs on this. So first of all, the video capture is really, really clear. It looks fantastic, as I said earlier when I was looking at it on the external monitor. But it's very crisp and sharp. The scaling is really good. Of course, we're scaling up 640 by 480 all the way up to like 4K here on this video when I'm editing, but it still looks really great. The colors are nice and clear and sharp. Let's see how the sound is. Okay, you can hear the sound. It's a little bit soft overall, but it sounds pretty good. Let's listen. So I decided to go ahead and increase the volume for this capture just so you could hear it a little better. But yeah, all the sound effects sound exactly as they should, and again, the colors are nice and sharp, so this is a great capture experience. There's a little bit of buzzing in the audio you probably already heard, but overall sounds pretty good, and that could be a function of the capture as well, I'm not sure. Alright, let's give Test Drive 3 a shot. Yeah, the audio is much louder in this game. But once again, the picture looks very clear and very sharp. Although apparently I still can't control it correctly. The lag actually isn't too bad on the capture, so that's nice. Let's play it just a little bit more so you can see the graphics a little bit better. Alright, so now we're going to give Tyrion 2000 a try. See how that looks and sounds on here. The sound is really good so far. Very, very nice. Again, a little buzzing, but still pretty nice OPL2 soundtrack there. I do have some issues on this game with the cursor keys actually sticking and it not being responsive when I try and change directions. So that may just be that the processor is a little bit slow for this game, or another issue with the game itself. But I haven't had issues with the cursor keys in any other game, so that's good. All right, I just discovered if you press FN and then 1, not FN and F1, but just FN and 1 a second time, it doesn't just switch over to the external display. It does much like a modern laptop would do, where the first time you press it, the output goes just to the external display, and then the second time you press it, it goes to both, so it mirrors the display. So right now I can see it both on the capture device and the external monitor, as well as the screen here. So that's pretty cool. And then if I press FN and 1 again, then I believe it will go. Okay, that's interesting. So now that I've pressed it the first time, now it goes just over to the external monitor here, and you can see, well, it's kind of messed up there, but you can see that it goes to a blue screen there, and I can still see it on my external monitor. I apologize, it's across the room, and I didn't want to hook up all the cords, but that's interesting. It's kind of stuck there. Let me hit FN and F5 again, see if we can get rid of that. There we go. Maybe? Okay, there we go. So that gets rid of the menu. And if I hit FN and 1 more time, then it'll mirror the display, right? Yes, it'll mirror the display. All right, that's interesting too. I kept hitting escape, and that's why it's doing that at the bottom there. But anyway, so that's pretty cool. It has really good VGA output and really good sound output. So really nice. So the last thing I want to try on this Pocket 386 before we wrap up the video is using a PS2 mouse on it. So I've got my PS2 mouse here with the PS2 mouse connector, and we just use this same breakout board adapter that we connected the VGA to. And the good news is they are color coded. So you've got your mouse, which is green, and you just plug it right in there, making sure you don't bend any pins. Got to get it in the right orientation. It's not as easy as the USB mouse, of course. And then we turn it on and we'll see if it works. All right, we're all booted up. I think if I type in CT mouse, there we go. So I've got CT mouse or Qt mouse installed at the PS2 port, and I can add that into the AutoExec bat if I want, but no big deal. I'm going to type in Win for Windows, and we'll see if this mouse works in Windows. I don't think you have to do the mouse driver to use it in Windows. I think Windows will automatically detect a PS2 mouse and it'll just work, but let's see if it does actually work in Windows. All right, here we go. I'm going to show you a wide view so you can see me moving the mouse and hopefully see it moving on the screen too. I know it's really small, but all right, let's see. That does not appear to be working right now. Okay, I think I figured it out. Let me zoom in here so you can see this a little bit better. This is the main on-screen display menu here. You have to actually turn the mouse to external in this menu. So you hit FN and 5 and it changes. So there it goes back to internal mouse. And here it is on external. So now let's see if it works now. Let me take this menu off the screen. Let's see what we got. Oh, still not working. I may have to actually reload Windows to get that to work. All right, computer's rebooted. Everything's ready to go here. And let's see if my mouse works. Oh, yes, it works now perfectly. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that very well on the video. I realize it's hard to see. It isn't too hard to see on the screen, but you can see I'm moving the mouse. There you go, there's a little closer view. And you can see the mouse moving just fine. I can click on things, load programs, all kinds of stuff. I can even go down here to the start menu. Yeah, that works great. And that's a lot easier than using the mouse on the keyboard. But the keyboard mouse is nice if you want to actually use it as a laptop without connecting things to it. So you see solitaire works just fine. You can hear me clicking the mouse button around. So yeah, works great. And one thing I want to tease really quick before we wrap up the video is this expansion board. It just came a couple days ago. And so this is the expander that I talked about earlier that allows you to add 8-bit ISA expansion cards onto this computer, which is super, super cool. I don't have any 8-bit expansion cards except for an Ethernet card. I don't want to go taking my Sound Blaster out of my Tandy because it's kind of hard to get it in and out. So I may need to get some 8-bit ISA cards to test this with. It's even got 12-volt power if you need extra power for the cards. But some of the YouTubers I've seen demonstrating this particular board, even on the Book 8088, it's the same expansion board for both this and the Book 8088. They're not using the external power, so I don't know how necessary that is. The manual doesn't really say anything about that, and there's no manual with this. But to connect to the computer, you use this ribbon cable, hooks up right here, and then it hooks into the back of the computer, and it's pretty obvious where it goes. It's this really long port right here that connects with this particular ribbon cable. So that works great, but it's a direct expansion to the ISA bus on the computer. And it's pretty cool to be able to use any kind of 8-bit card that you could possibly think of with this machine. I mean, you could use the Ethernet card to get on the internet and use some of the DOS networking tools or even Windows 95 to get on some really old websites like the Old Net and things like that that are optimized for a Windows 95 browser without all the security concerns and things like that. But also, you could put a joystick expansion card or a sound card with the joystick expander to get a joystick on this computer. So there's a lot of different options for things. Of course, you could put another sound card on here. One of the biggest weaknesses I mentioned of this computer is that it doesn't have Sound Blaster compatible sound. So you could put a Sound Blaster compatible card on here and get that digital Sound Blaster type audio sound there, as opposed to just the OPL sound. Because you noticed on Tyrion earlier and some of the other games that I've shown on here that there's no digital sound effects. Even on Doom, there's no gunfire sound or any of the talking or voices or any of that kind of stuff that's through the Sound Blaster DAC or digital audio device there that makes that work. So you could put one in if you wanted. I mean, pretty much the sky's the limit for what you could put onto this. That's as long as it's 8-bit ISA, it would work. So that's pretty awesome, and it just makes this a lot more fun with all the expansion and all the options that it has. So again, I'll show this in a different video, try and get some 8-bit ISA cards. If you got any extra ones you can spare and you want to send me something, that's fine, or I'll find some cheap ones on eBay to try out with this just for fun. It'd be good to have some extra ISA 8-bit cards to test on systems that I get anyway. But anyway, I don't want to mess with the Ethernet right now. It might be a separate video to make that happen. Maybe I'll try this thing on the internet at some point, but either way, that'll be a future video. So what are my final thoughts on the Pocket 386? Well, I really think it's an amazing machine. Of course, it's got a few issues here and there and a few idiosyncrasies, but it's an amazing marriage of modern and retro technology. And for that, I think the developer should be highly praised, and definitely, we hope that he continues to release products like this in the future, because it really is something that is needed in the retro community. I love messing with old laptops and things and trying to get them fixed, and I've done repair videos and things, but that can get very tedious, and laptops are difficult to fix. And if you just want a pocket-sized machine, or almost pocket-sized machine, that'll play all kinds of DOS games, has a great screen, has a nice keyboard, even though it's a little bit small, has some sound, and even a modern battery, a lithium-ion modern battery that actually works and holds a charge, like this is a machine that really can't be beat for all those things. I would say the big area that it's lacking in is that it doesn't have Sound Blaster sound. In other words, there's no digital sound effects on anything, no speech, no gunfire in the games that have that, even any kind of digital sound at all. Like Epic Pinball I didn't show on here because it's all through the DAC. It's all through the digital audio control there, so there would be no way to actually have any sound on Epic Pinball and those games that rely on those mod tracker type sounds. So that's one of the big weaknesses of this, and I think that would be something that hopefully can be addressed in the future. I'm assuming the reason they didn't include the Sound Blaster is because there just aren't chips, or it's not easy to integrate something like that. It might be requiring chips that maybe don't exist in a large enough quantity to produce this. So that's one thing I think that would probably be useful if they had like maybe a Pico version of it, like there's the Pico Gus, maybe there's a Pico version of the Sound Blaster and things like that you could use to make this work. So I think that would be something to think about in the future. Another thing I think that's really, really wonderful with this, and if I pull up Windows again on it, is that the screen is really, really good on this. It's probably hard to see in the video. These videos don't really do the screens justice, trying to adjust the exposure and things, but it really is a nice screen. It's not perfect, but it's a modern LCD panel. It's bright. It has a lot of adjustments and controls that you can set to your heart's content, which is nice. And really, that was a big complaint against the Book 8088, was that it didn't have adjustable brightness, the screen was very, very dim, and it just didn't really work very well. But like I was saying, the screen is really, really nice on this, and hopefully you can see with a closer view that it actually works really, really well. And again, kudos to the developer for fixing something that a lot of YouTubers complained about when the Book 8088 came out. And this is basically the same form factor as that. It's a little bit different size case, maybe a little bit smaller. But the LCD is much, much better on this. And there are controls for at least the sound on and off, so that's nice. Not only that, another major complaint with this, and I can show you that really quick, I think I can do this on Windows here, is that the older version of the book 8088 actually had the issue that it was always stuck in 16 by 9 mode. And so this one is actually configurable and has a setting to go from 4 by 3 to 16 by 9. Sorry, I had to actually get out of Windows to fix it. It kind of locked up a little bit. But let me show you really quick here in DOS how it switches back and forth between 16 by 9 and 4 by 3. And I've done this earlier in the video, but I just want to kind of reiterate, this is a huge feature that was requested from the book 8088. And that actually doesn't look bad. It is definitely stretched, but it really isn't a bad stretch. The scaling's pretty good on it. Let me get out of this menu so I can just kind of type a directory here and kind of show you how it scrolls and things. So really that doesn't look bad at all. And if I got into Commander Keen really quick, you could see that it was stretched. But if you'd rather it use the full screen, you can do that. That's kind of a personal preference thing. I prefer, and you've noticed it's been 4 by 3 most of the video, I prefer it to be kind of a true aspect ratio that is true to like the original. So I do kind of prefer that. But you can see, actually doesn't look too bad. It is stretched. You can see Commander Keen's head and face are probably a little bit wider than they should be. The text is a little bit wider and things like that. But overall, it's very playable. If you want to just use the whole screen, that works great. But then really easily just go Fn F4 and you go back here and switch back to 4 by 3. And that was a huge feature request that was talked about by a lot of the YouTubers that, you know, why is this screen not got a 4 by 3 mode when 4 by 3 was really the standard format for DOS games? And now you can see very clearly that we have this 4 by 3 mode and everything looks as it should be. So that's kind of nice. So you can go back to the game and you can see that everything looks fine. So it's really great to be able to switch back and forth. I was going to show that in Windows, but it works just as well in a game. And so to me, I like the 4 by 3 even though there's black bars on the sides. It's a little bit more just technically correct as far as how it was in that time period. But again, kudos to the developer for listening to feedback and finding a way to have it be able to switch between 16 by 9 and 4 by 3 so that people have options. I think that's the most important thing. I would say for future devices, let's get a volume control to turn the volume up and down. I can turn it off. I can mute it, which basically just turns the amplifier off, but I can't turn the sound up and down. So it'd be really cool to have a volume control. And it would also be really cool, you know, to have the ability, like I said, to have Sound Blaster sound on this as well. So those are the really two big things on this. The other thing would be cool is to have a 486 or a Pentium version, but I have a feeling the reason that that's not an option on this right now is just because of the fact that you can't find 486 style chips or Pentium style chips in large supply like you would need to build these. One more thing that I forgot to mention really quick is that the battery life on this has been really, really good. I've used it probably 2 or 2.5 hours and it got down to about 45 or 50%. So that's pretty good. I did have it plugged in for most of this part of the video because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of power to do the external video and stuff like that. But overall, the battery's been great. And I think it would probably get 4.5 hours or so on a full charge. So very, very respectable battery life. So in summary, what's the bottom line on the Pocket 386? Is it worth buying? Should you get it? I actually think it is worth buying. At $200 or so, I think it's between $200 and $215 on AliExpress. You know, it's a little bit steep in price, but for everything it does, I think it's really worth it, especially if you're a retro enthusiast and, you know, if you don't want to spend as much time restoring old laptops like I do, or if you don't want to have this ginormous laptop collection. I think this one's really fun to be able to play around with on basically original type hardware, but with a modern twist and a modern system that's reliable, that's got new parts in it and new components. I think it's really, really worthwhile. It's professionally packaged. You know, it's not something that somebody made in their garage, even though that is kind of cool. It actually is professionally manufactured and packaged, and the developer seems to be listening to feedback from YouTubers and from people talking about it based on all the improvements made on this machine. So I can't wait to see if he decides to come out with another one, what types of improvements would be made on that one as well. That would be pretty interesting, I think. So anyway, yeah, go check it out. I'll put a link in the description to the shop that I bought it on AliExpress. It only took a week to get here from China, so that was pretty cool. The ISA board I showed earlier took like a week and a half. They ordered them both at the same time, but again, that's pretty reasonable coming from all the way around the world. The shipping is really, really good, and yeah, I would highly recommend this. And I did pay full price for this. This isn't sponsored or anything like that, so I wanted to make sure everybody knew that. So This is just a regular review, and I really enjoyed this, and a few little flaws here and there, but overall a lot of improvements and just a lot of fun to play around with. So, all right, everybody, leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you'd be interested in getting one of these, or just your favorite thoughts about retro tech, or any of the games that we showed, or things like that. I know I show a lot of the same games, and one of the reasons is for that, by the way, is because it's easy to compare systems when I use some of the same games, but also I probably will be incorporating different games just so you can see different things on some of the videos. So I know this has been a long video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting this new channel that I've got going here, and yeah, just thanks for being awesome members of this retro community. So for now, enjoy that tech and keep it retro.